Good morning, Gabe.
G'day, Lauren. Lauren, how are you? Now, we were just chatting. It's been some time since just you and I got together for a chat on one of these things. We've had lots of people we've spoken to over the last couple of months, but let's just you and I have a chat and catch up and download and just wax lyrical about all things what we've been doing.
All things SDA, which we do love to do. And yes, it's been too long, so apologies. Anyone out there who's been waiting for some tidbits of information, we're back.
I'd hate to say that you missed us, so I wouldn't be that arrogant. But there's been a lack of just us goofing off and having a chat. So look, we thought we could chat about a few things today. We're just listening offline. We've been around the country a little bit. We've been talking to lots of people. We've been participating in this SDA design guideline review led by KPMG. We've advertised and marketed and successfully placed a brand new CEO for DHS, which is super exciting, which we'll touch on today.
It is.
Talking about audit preparation. Our audit's coming up in August, and just some really cool stuff we're doing in the efficiency space, the business productivity efficiency space that we like to share with you guys. Because it's so hard out there. It's so hard. The trying to get plans through the agency and trying to get SDAs approved. And then when money stops because there's a hiccup somewhere, and then staff costs and then business expenses and on, it's tough, right? So if you don't adapt and really keep at the front of the technology curve, then you might end up out the back door. And so we're interested in to chat about that as well. So where do you want to start, mate? What do you think?
Look, I think it would be good to just quickly touch on our pending audit, because I think everybody sort of shakes in their boots when that comes to the desk. Is, hey, your audit's going to be due. We've been given plenty of notice. It's in August next year, and thankfully, our team has been very well prepared for audits in the past, and we've passed with flying colours. But what's different this year, I think, is the real scale and growth that we've had will indicate a much more thorough audit that will sort of take it to the next level. So I think from our perspective in the operations side, the team are getting prepared with the compliance and governance across the board. There's a lot of training that's happened, and with all of these efficiencies and operational changes we've had over the last 12 months, I think they've already been working to better systems, better recording, better, management of incidents, and all of that stuff. So it is exciting from our front, not daunting anymore, which is a really good achievement. I think that's a sign of where we're at and the confidence in the team.
It's a great observation that, our last audit a couple of years ago, DHS looked very different than it does today. We're now a proper large SDA provider, and back then we were sort of in the mix people knew who we were, but now we're a large provider. And there's a lot in our hands. There's a lot that we're responsible for, and there's a lot of people that rely on us. And so I would expect that the audit team will be looking at us through a different lens. It's the lens of, if you guys, you're a big provider, and now we're going to treat you like a big provider person, and this is going to be forensic, this audit. And,
a little more forensic, a little more, surprise visits out to SDAs, which we're excited about. And it does, I think, as an organisation, it really makes us focus on our metrics, which is something we've been talking about a fair bit in the past couple of weeks, is looking at those organisational metrics where we can really measure things like customer satisfaction, compliance, incidents, feedback, both good and bad. And it's really important that all feeds into, your audit preparation, I think, because as tracking those metrics and seeing how you're going, you can really identify areas there that we're falling down in or that we need to do better in, and really make sure that the compliance and governance component of that is a priority, as well as, obviously the efficiency and the outcome for participants. So it all sort of ties together. So we are, I think, as a team, feeling more congruent with what we've got to show in audit, and more prepared, so it's not such a stressful month.
But a big part of how we can do that, I attribute a couple of things as to why we're not. Look, we're taking it seriously, and it's a body of work, but we're not like freaking out about the impending audit. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, and we want to share that with. So if you're a provider listening to us, going, "What are you doing? Like, why aren't you freaked out?" We've got a great CRM. Well, we've built it into more of an ERP now. It's a proper.
I think you
It's the
should
business.
unpack that acronym, Dave. There's too many acronyms. So ERP is.
Oh, the God, now you've got me. It's
Okay.
a the customer relationship manager is a CRM, and then the ERP is like one above. It's like enterprise level. I forget the
Enterprise
actual expansion.
resource something. Okay.
You
We
got
need
yeah.
to take that.
There you
Okay. We're
go.
using
We
it. We got
need.
to know it.
We
We got to know it.
no, so what you should just get from that is Laura and I didn't build it. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay. True. Very transparent about that. It is not our baby.
yeah. So but we're using Monday.com, and and we've built it out. It's taken months and months, most of the year, to build it out.
Yes.
And we continue to improve it and build dashboards and build panels and connect things and drive things. So there's that, and that talks to our property management system. So Monday's great for lots of things, but so far we haven't built the property management functions on that, and we're still using
Right.
Property Me, which is a really widely adopted property management system in general real estate. And I
Yeah.
think something like that's necessary. As you start to collect hundreds of properties in a rent roll, you really do need a pretty bespoke property management tool.
You do.
Um, and then there's some challenges to connect the data sets. Property Me builds data differently, looks at different data on Monday. Trying to get those to talk. There's some technical issues, and again, we're collaborating with different SDA providers. We're having these conversations. What are you using? What are you doing? You're using this. Well, what's the benefits here? And
Yeah.
and we're sort of sharing these ideas and
Yeah.
continuing to do so. And then we've also got the resources now that we've got. Essentially, one of our team, Susanna, is our compliance officer, and she maintains visibility on all of the pending rule changes and what's coming and how to and best practice and policy updates and all and it's pretty much a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that again, getting to that sort of size where rather than have where maybe a general manager or a founder owner be across all that and then still try and grow the business and then be pulled in this way, that way with everything that's happening, to have
Yeah.
someone who can just focus on, right, are the staff, are all of their qualifications and training up to date? Are their certifications uploaded? Do we have copies of their NDIS workers card? Do we have
Yeah.
copies of their police check? Do we have all of the training ticked off on the commission website, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah. As well as internally, the internal training
how
systems.
many providers out there can put their hand in their heart and say all of our staff are completely up to date on all of their compliance paperwork and training? It's
I
one of
would
these
like to
things
say all.
you'd like to say all, but we know that everyone, and this is not unique to NDIS, everyone gets busy being busy. And so,
Absolutely.
unless you've got someone who's there saying, hey, you get an email or a text or a phone call, you haven't done this, you need to go and do it. You go, oh, bugger, and off you go and do it.
Yeah.
So I put it down to the technology stack that we've introduced, and we'll expand on the technology a bit in a minute with how we're using AI and remote professional integration. But there's a technology stack,
Uh-huh.
and there's the staffing resources to ensure compliance. I think they're two big reasons why
Yeah.
the audit's coming, but we're prepared.
We're prepared. Yeah. I think it's got a lot to do with it. Ensuring the processes and procedures are there to have really, really good note keeping and sort of tracking of jobs and outcomes and incidents. That's just major. Where it's not stuck in people's inboxes and it's all laid out for anyone to be able to access at any point. It A, gives a better service, and B, makes sure that we're compliant across the board.
That's right.
So
Now,
yeah,
compliance and productivity, that leads into this AI conversation. It's pretty wild. Like 3 years ago, no one was talking about AI doing all of this stuff that we're doing now.
no,
It's happened so quickly. I
really.
remember, 10, 15 years ago, everyone's talking about virtual assistants off overseas and the benefits, and people did and didn't, but it's just it's really, really expensive. Look,
Yeah.
sitting here now as a business owner, right? Not as so looking at the numbers as an owner, staff overhead costs are the single biggest expense that we have. And I'm sure we're not alone. Any
Yeah.
services businesses like this at staff costs.
Yeah.
And we're committed to not, we don't want to make positions redundant. That's not what this is about. But we got to get interested in efficiencies and cost reduction. We have to. And
Yeah.
as we continue to grow, the methodology that we're adopting is we don't want to let people go. We want to keep our current staff. We love them, but we
Mm,
don't want to grow how we've been growing. We want to put some downward pressure on the onboarding of new staff through technology and through outsourcing through remote professionals overseas. So
mm,
the whole AI thing with NDIS, we started having this conversation, 6-7 months ago with a developer, and we
mm,
very quickly hit this roadblock called compliance, right? And then
mm.
that was basically stop. We stopped everything. And what we're looking to do is automate through like an AI agent our repetitive administrative tasks, the things that
Yeah.
it's just
And
process. Go here, copy paste that, do this, send that, and repeat.
that repetitive administration is sometimes where human power is used up doing things that, are unfortunately taking up their time but not customer facing.
Yep.
And what we've found is that all of our staff, we're in the human services and we're very human, empathetic group.
Yep.
We really enjoy that side of our work. We enjoy interacting with customers and clients, and we enjoy being able to help them and genuinely connect and be able to get them outcomes. What we don't necessarily enjoy, and I'm speaking not only on behalf of myself, but probably quite a few of the team members, is the mandrolic, like data management and
Correct.
administrative reminders and automations that, we're actually doing
Yep.
really manually. So it's looking at those tasks and really unpacking, okay, what can be done via a system or an AI bot that takes that part of the work out of
Hmm.
my client facing
That's
stuff so
right.
that I still get a really regular
100%.
accountable outcome, but I'm not having to physically do all
That's
of that
right.
administration.
And
So
now our people who love being with people are freed up to be with people.
that's right. That's the
Right. That's
exciting
all.
part.
That's
Yes.
cool. Now,
Yes.
we've to get the compliance box tick was a really tricky. There's actually a really tricky riddle to solve, and
A
we've
lot
spent
longer than we planned, but I
well
really feel it's going to be worth it.
because you've got to do it in a compliant way.
Yeah.
Again, we're not freaked out about our AI activities because we've spent tens of thousands of dollars
Mm,
getting this
mm,
compliance problem solved. We've had to
mm.
build our own infrastructure onshore and space at Amazon warehouse in Sydney. And I won't go into it here, but I think we're going to spend upwards of $70,000 this year
Yeah.
getting that built out, getting
So
the,
to
the agents
find,
built, and getting the compliance thing ticked. And that now,
yes.
again, that's a lot of money to allocate to a project like that. But we think it's the way businesses like SDA providers that really there's a lot of people involved in having to interact with the agency and interact with maintenance issues and participants and support
Data collection.
coordinators and provide
Yeah.
like there's so much to do
Yeah.
that if we don't get interested in getting productive, then we're
If
just
you're
not
going to
going to keep
stay
up.
stay
In a
profitable and stay very manual labor.
yeah,
We aim to try and identify those manual labor bits and just make it a lot more efficient.
yep,
And Dave, I just wanted to touch on the resource allocation. So previously, I think everyone's interested in AI. I'm not particularly inclined to go digging for it, but like you really can't avoid it in this day and age. So we got to a point, and Dave, you did a whole lot of work on what would be a good AI sort of channel to explore and to implement in this business. But it's just we're really lucky we've been in a position to allocate those resources over time, and it is due to the scale and growth that we've been able to sustain, so that then we can implement these resources and have that better operational outcome. So for those smaller providers out there, I do encourage you to have a look at it, or to try and unpack, when can you get to that point to create those efficiencies within your
mm,
system, that'll allow you to have those better outcomes for your participants and to manage that business strategy whereby, you might grow in your portfolio size, but if you don't change how you're doing things, you're just going to have to grow in your staff numbers too. And I think that's what we realized is, look, we can keep doing what we're doing, but we're going to have to keep putting more staff on the more we grow. And it was sort of
yeah.
like, well, like, is that what we want to do, or can we think about this in a more creative way?
And
Um,
we weren't necessarily getting better results just because we kept hiring people. What we
no,
noticed was we weren't necessarily getting better results because it wasn't structured and organized. It was in response to, oh bugger, this is
yeah, it
this
was
is noisy.
reactive.
You need to put something towards it, right? And
Yeah,
then I suppose again, if you are a smaller provider and you go, "Oh, there's no way I can afford 70 grand to do that work on the AI." Look,
Mm.
you could talk to us and we could maybe work something out. The other part that we're also doing is we've now engaged several remote professionals. Now, remote professionals is the new word for virtual assistants, everyone. So
Mm.
these guys, we've got remote professionals
At least we know the
in the
acronym for that one,
Philippines.
Dave.
Sorry, RPs. That's right. We've got yeah, we've got remote professionals in the Philippines and in Pakistan, in administrative and finance roles, and really highly qualified people. You know, when we started doing the interviews for our first raft of remote professionals, we're interviewing chemists and accountants and physiotherapists and nurses and really amazingly highly qualified people who for them it's a real opportunity to earn locally what is really really good money, and they're really
Yeah.
highly qualified, highly articulate people,
Yeah.
and they've become just part of our team. They're not
Yeah.
the people who work overseas. They
No,
join our weekly meetings. The whole company at DHS, we all work remotely like this. We all interact on screens like this, and they
I think
join
that
us for the meetings.
culturally, I think there's always a bit of resistance to, how is this going to look and feel within the team when these people are in a different country. But I think thanks to COVID, you've got to bless it sometimes. The working from home structure has meant that that's actually been a really natural,
It's just so
um,
normal.
a natural integration. So, we're all on Teams all day, messaging back and forth. I think this morning we've seen some Halloween pictures amongst the team
Yeah,
because it's the 31st of October today. So, like integrating a team member online nowadays doesn't mean as big of a culture shift or a challenge with communication as it may have
not at
five,
all.
10 years ago.
Not at all.
So yeah, look, we are. I think you've got the AI conversation as those mandrel access tasks, and then you've also got these RPs which have proven to be very, very helpful and a great part of the team, and an efficient addition to the team considering operational resources. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the one position that we have recruited and hired for on the Australia side for Australian staff is, and I was told when we were going through the recruitment process, it caused quite a ripple through the SDA market. We put up an advertisement on Seek for a
Yeah.
CEO of a
Yeah.
national SDA provider, and there was quite the hubbub out there.
We
And
didn't realize so many people were looking, did we?
no, well, I think I was managing the ad on Seek, and I think there was, before I closed it, there was 112 applications for the role.
Mm.
And
Mm.
we selected Ellen Rhodes, who has been on deck now for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
And we are just beyond tickled pink. Like, tickled pink would be if we'd had half of what Ellen's brought to the table. We're just thrilled,
Yeah.
honestly thrilled.
No,
And what
yeah.
it's allowed as owners and founders, so Lauren and myself and Greg and Phil and the other directors, we can now stop working in the business. And
Yeah.
this is us right now, not working in the business.
Mm.
This is now sharing what we're up to the world. So maybe everyone can get some ideas.
Yep.
Ellen is now running the business very quickly. She's a professional executive. She's come from multi-cap, extraordinarily experienced, and she's now managing all of the business functions. She's now accountable to the finance, to the revenue, to the staff, to the HR, to the
Yeah.
stakeholder relationships, and
Yeah.
and has taken to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's for me, that's going to be the single biggest thing that we do that frees up us to move aside to focus on where DHS can go next, is having that professional executive in place.
Yeah, and I think that we've obviously had a fair few conversations, but this is there to spark the same conversation again amongst any other provider or small business. Is that when you've reached your capacity, like, and I'm very, very transparent about that. I know when I can't do any better or when I'm at my maximum and I either need to go and spend time getting better or, via trial and error, figure it out. We're really grateful to be in that position this year to be able to take that leap. It's something that we've been trying to achieve for a couple of years. And we've also got some of the directors moving into semi/full retirement. It's been a transition period, but it's happening. And so
Mhm.
it's really, really good timing for us as an organisation. It's aligned with, that level of growth that we've had to be able to sustain that, and the realisation, I think, that we've done what we can to a point in terms of the executive operational stuff. And now we're here to focus on what we're really good at and what we're really passionate about, and hand off the stuff that someone else is better leading. And Ellen is absolutely that person. She's not only coming there with really beautiful leadership, but a very inviting and welcoming, collaborative leadership style that's, I think, really going to suit the organisation, and is already taking leaps and bounds forward in a lot of really important areas. So we'll get
Yeah.
Ellen on, I
We
think, in
will,
the
we
next
will,
week
we will get her on. I think
or
she's a bit camera
so.
shy, but we will
We'll
get
get
her
it.
on hopefully
It's
soon.
fine.
Certainly let's commit before the end of the year. Ellen, if you watch this before the end of the year, we're going to have a little chat on the podcast and talk a bit about you and your background and where you see DHS going. But again, so if you're a mid-sized SDA provider and you're looking at, what's something that can really support our growth, I can't emphasize enough is that as a founder and as an owner operator, unless you've come from that C-suite and you've been a COO or a CEO or an MD or something like that, it's likely that even though you could be doing a great job, you've got a lid on you, and
Yeah.
to get that professional executive layer in who really understand how to bring it all together and bring
Mm.
all the policies and get the most out of it and bring the staff along and create that picture and create that culture with the
Yeah.
team,
Yep.
to then it frees the founder owner operator up to do what they do, which is probably growing things, not
Yeah.
operating things.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I
That's
know that I'm a creator and I'm a grower. I'm not an
right.
operator. I'm clear
Mm.
about that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get I
Fine.
get bored within weeks if I've got to be the guy that just does the operations. It's not where my skill set. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of owner led businesses, I think the personalities might be similar to that. That
Yeah.
you're a creator, you're a
It's
grower.
that entrepreneurial sort of skill set, isn't it? It's
Yeah, let
more
the
aligned
people
to.
who are expert operators operate. Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah.
right. And I think that we've got that in Ellen, so we're very excited that she's on board, and I think we'll see some really great transitions and improvements across the company in the coming couple of months.
Mm.
Mm.
Now,
I did want to just touch on, because I know we're getting close to 25 minutes, which we could talk all day.
it
We
just
all
goes,
spent.
doesn't it? It feels like 5 minutes. It just
I
goes.
know, I know. Look, we spent some time this week in the design review, the SDA design review,
Mm.
which
Yep.
was helped by Nicola Lemon, who, of course, we've had on our podcast before, and who is an absolute gem of a human. So the three of us contributing, and that also included feedback from our whole team that we collated prior to the review, with feedback from tenants and the property
Mm.
management team and the housing connections team, to all feed into that review. And look, it was a really, really good discussion. I think we had some members on there from Adapt,
Mm-hmm.
from IPL, which was
Mm-hmm.
another SDA provider,
In
and two.
in in
There was,
place living in Victoria. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, a couple of other SDA providers, as well as some that
There
sort of
was
do.
uh there was in Bridge living. There was Adenium living.
Yeah,
My Life Housing. They were all there.
yeah, yeah.
Great
So it's
contributions. Yeah.
really great group. I think. Oh, I'm pulling figures out of my memory, which can sometimes be reliable, sometimes not. But I believe that Nicola will be holding a couple of hundred sessions on SDA
There's a
design
lot.
review feedback over the next coming months. So
Yeah.
I do encourage anyone in the sector to jump onto the NDIS website and go to the SDA page. You can actually sign up to join one of the review panels, and contribute. I know I've sent it out to quite a few industry colleagues, in particular Matt Greer, who we've also had on
Yeah.
our podcast before, because I know that he's got so much to offer in terms of what participants really see as, best practice, and what innovation they've thought of living in the house and what they
Yeah.
can bring to the
100%.
table. So go and
But
join that if you feel a
there's
bit of
different
time.
sorts of there's sessions for stakeholders like FCA providers, and there's sessions for stakeholders like developers, and there's sessions for stakeholders for participants. There's all
Yeah,
different session types, so you can
yeah.
jump on there and go, where do I fit in which session's best for me,
That's right. And you can
and
also
grow on.
submit. So we'll be backing up our contribution with a paper on what we see, that criteria needing
Yeah,
review in, and there's quite a few different sort of moments there that we need to go over. But look, it was really good. I think the highlights from that, and I think this won't come as a surprise to many, was around the feedback on robust, and how we can tackle that robust light or robust plus argument, and how we can efficiently put into the design standards some kind of consideration for
yeah,
those robust participants, which seem to be the majority, that really need something that's a lot more
yeah.
hardware in than what's currently in the design standards, and whether they look at a split model for robust, one light, one plus, or similar.
And then funding levels. It's silly to imagine that three robust participants will share a house, right? So
Yeah.
with the design changes, they need to incorporate some funding reviews on those design changes as well.
Yeah, and of course the pricing review wasn't under consideration in these conversations, which was made very clear. But it was within our discussions, it was clear that they are all linked together, and so there's various different legislations and operational guidelines. They need to be coordinated to a degree as much as possible. But yeah, look, in regards to the highlights of the design feedback, I think I would suggest that you had some really great comments there on the robust category. There was a fair bit of talk around bariatric consideration in
Yeah.
HPS. Um, the IL category got a little bit of comment, and that I think primarily was from some of the conversations we've had around the review that was in 2023, and the review recommendations suggesting that improved livability might be, and I'll say phased out, but I don't think that was the terminology they used. And that there was some kind of housing structure there for shared housing options. So to me, and we've discussed this so many times over the years, that the improved livability category and SIL, there's a missing middle there. And we were discussing this with a SIL
Yeah.
provider recently, that missing middle where people can't necessarily afford, or they don't have the funding to live in SDA, but the private market in rentals where they would have SIL come in and provide support is very expensive and very difficult. So it's about trying to find a funding model that perhaps IL would suit, that would have still participants in there, slightly lower funded because their housing need isn't as
Yeah.
significant, that would still be a really, really good addition to the scheme, and something that at the moment is a real grey area.
Yeah.
So there were some discussions around that as well. What did you get out of the design review?
Look, I think it's been done in good faith. My concern, having been involved in a few of these, larger government reviews in the past, that sometimes, and maybe I'm being a little bit cynical, but sometimes um, the outcomes can be determined prior to the review taking place, and they're just ticking the box. I don't
Mm,
think that's happening this time. I think the time frame for the review is quite long. The scope is quite wide. I think there's a genuine interest to engage and get the feedback.
mm,
I do think that, but I'm still then the cynic in me is like, okay, when they get all this feedback, it's going to come with a cost, right?
yeah.
And then they're going to go, right, because all of the pressure for the past couple of years has been downward pressure on costs. So
Mm,
if they get all these standard reviews that that they can condition whatever they want to condition in the design standards, that's fine. That you can make it, you've got to have a 38-meter squared bedroom for every. You could
yeah.
condition that.
Yeah.
But then the next thing will be, righto, then now you've got to change the funding, right? Because you can't expect people to, because no one's going to build it if the funding doesn't match.
That's right.
So I think they're gonna look at, there's going to be that scale of how hard they push on the design reviews based on then what they're going to get back from the market about funding.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, agreed. And like you said, it'll be slow. I think the estimated outcome, like so for version 2.0 of the SDA design standards, not due till 2026, which is likely to be around December, give or take a couple of months. So, we're not expecting lightning responses here, but just pleased, I guess, to have an opportunity to contribute and to get that feedback from the industry, and be a voice for
Yeah.
improvements. Of course, like you said, that'll come in line with improvements to the price guide that also stimulate investment and development,
Right.
because absolutely that has to happen along with any changes to the design standard.
Well, Loz, I think that's time. We're 15 seconds short of half an hour. I think that's drive to work time. We've got to get off.
It is.
I'll,
Alrighty. Nice to chat as always, and
so
happy
next
Halloween.
time let's have a chat with our CEO and see if we maybe get her on next time. And it's Halloween.
Can I just have a little moment for Halloween? I'm
Mate,
I'm into all the sugar, but the dress ups absolutely. So happy Halloween,
I need to go
everyone.
and put up my token Halloween things out the
You
front so
do.
the kids know that there's lollies on
You
offer
do.
when they knock
You do.
tonight.
All
All
right.
right. Next time,
Enjoy.
guys. Bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.